In this video, I will show you all the features you need to know about Blender's Outliner. So in Blender's Outliner, it's on the top right of your viewport display. It shows you all the objects in your scene. As you can see, it's labeled Scene Collection. It shows you every single object in your scene. For example, right now in our default viewport display, we have 3 objects. Now, if we select the object, for example, we have a cube, we select it, it will be highlighted in our outline. As you can see, it's highlighted the cube. Now, if we select the light, it will highlight the light, and if we select the camera, it will highlight our camera. Now, if we do it the other way around, so if we select the cube, it will select our cube over here in the viewport display, and it will do the same thing for the light and the camera. Now, the collection is basically stores objects, okay? It's like a folder to store our objects and put our objects in. For example, you can see it is a container icon. For example, it's like putting objects into a container, storing it in a space. Now you can create different collections. So to create a collection, you can select this collection icon over here, create a new collection, collection number 2, or you can do right click and create a new collection. Now if you want to rename a collection, you can just double tap on it, like double left click, or you can press F2 when you hover over it, F2. And if what you need to do is just select that, and you can just, I'm going to say camera. So it will store the camera. For example, over here, if you want to move a object to a different collection, what you can do is that you can select it and grab it to that collection like that. So that camera has moved to the camera collection now. I'm going to rename this to main collection. So that's the main default collection. This is going to camera selection over here. As you can see, I accidentally moved the cube, so I'm going to move this back over here into the main and move our camera. By the way, I did that on purpose to show you that we can move it. Now, the other way we can move it is that I'm going to rename this collection to primitive objects, okay? Now, primitive objects, you should know, is like the default objects you can get from Blender's menu. So what we can do, we know that a cube is a primitive object in Blender. Another way we can move it without going in the outliner, we can select our object, we can press M, we can move it to the collections that are in the scene, or we can create a new collection from there. I'm going to move this cube to the primitive object. As you can see, now our cube has moved to our object. Now that is the absolute basics of the outline and moving objects in a scene, creating collections. Now, the best thing about I like about the outline is that you can actually color code your outline icon. For example, you can see that the container icon over there, you can color code it. For example, if you right click on this, you can see that we have some colors over here. So you can select red and you can see that I color coded to red. I'm going to do this one to orange and then this one to purple. As you can see, you can color code your objects. That is kind of cool. I really like it. And then you can actually hide the collection. You can open it and close it. Now, the next feature that's very good about the outliner is over here, the filters tab, the toggles. You can enable these toggles. I'm going to show you every single one of those though. I'm going to select these, open this, and this. So, what they do is that, for example, we're going to, for a primitive object right here, if we check and select this check mark over here, what this will do is that it will literally hide the object, basically. It will hide the object. And now, if you go into camera view and render this quickly, you will see that our object is not going to be there. It's going to be hidden from the render view and the viewport display as well. So now, the other option is this one over here. This arrow icon or the cursor icon, what it does is that if we select this, if we disable this, we cannot select our cube. Literally, you can do whatever you want. Spam on the left click, you cannot select it at all. But when you enable this, you can select it easily. When you disable it, you cannot select the cube at all. And this applies to every single object in the scene. The collection. For example, if you move the camera into this collection over here, now since this cursor icon is disabled, what we can do, we cannot select the camera because it's in the collection, and you cannot select the cube just like that. I'm going to move the camera back into the camera collection right there. Now, the other thing is this. This is the same. This is hiding. Okay, hiding object. You can do the shortcut is H to hide. Let me quickly enable that. So you can press H to hide, Alt H to unhide it, and that is literally basically if you hide, you can see that it will basically hide it. It's the same process So Alt H to unhide it. Now what this one does is that it's the same thing. It will hide it from the viewport display. It will hide it from the viewport display. But if you render it, what it will do is that it will let's see, render image. You can see it will still be in our render. It will hide it from your viewport display, but it will still be able to be rendered. So, but this one over here, you can, for example, the cube, you can see it in our outliner now. In our viewport display. We can see in the outliner and our viewport display, but it will not be in our render. As you can see, because you disabled it from our render, but it is not disabled. We can still see in our viewport. Now that is very good for bones, animating, empties, all of that stuff that you want it to be in the viewport display to help you animate, but you do not want it to be rendered. Now this other one, you can see for yourself what happens. If you render image, you'll notice that this will make the object transparent. That is literally it will make the object transparent. If you enable this, it will be transparent. Disable it, it will not be transparent. So if you disable that, you'll see that's going to be a normal cube like that. And this one you can see for yourself. You just need to you see the process. So what basically happens is that this one over here, I don't really use it. It says indirect only. It says objects in the collection only contribute indirectly to shadows and reflection in the view layer. So basically, it doesn't. So the shadows do not literally affect it. Okay, but normally I would use this one. Just leave it there.